Hare Krishna. So many things are there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agyanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Visaya Bhutali Prabhupadati Priya Shri Girirajaya Swamine Suvakta Shastra Vigyaya Dirda Sadhana Shalini Radha Ras Bihari Bhyam Bhaktivyas Chatmadayini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Visaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatadine Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. So welcome back to our Srimad Bhagavatam study. So we are on the 4th canto, chapter 27. Attacked by Chanda Vega on the city of Puranjan. This is so low. Okay. So we are on chapter 27. So we completed text 9, is it? So we come to text 10 now. So this is like the conclusion of the enjoyment of King Puranjan. We are reaching the conclusion of his whole show in this material world. So text 10. Teshu tadriktha haresu griha koshanu jivishu nirudhena mamatvena Vishayeshvandbhatyata. Okay. Smita, you want to read? You got the mic? Where's the mic? Is it on?
These sons and grandsons were virtually plunderers of King Puranjana's riches, including his home, treasury, servants, secretaries, and all other paraphernalia. Puranjana's attachment for these things was very deep-rooted. Perfect. In this verse, the word Rikta Harishu, meaning plunderer of wealth, is very significant. One's sons, grandsons, and other descendants are ultimately plunderer of one's accumulated wealth. There are many celebrated businessmen and industrialists who produce great wealth and are highly praised by the public, but all their money is ultimately plundered by their sons and grandsons. In India, we have actually seen one industrialist who, like King Puranjana, was very much sexually inclined and had half a dozen wives. Each of his wives had a separate establishment that necessitated the expenditure of several thousands of rupees. When I was engaged in talking with him, I saw that he was very busy trying to secure money so that all his sons and daughters would get at least 500,000 rupees each. Thus, such industrialists, businessmen or karmis are called mudhas in the Shastras. They work very hard, accumulate money, and are satisfied to see that this money is plundered by their sons and grandsons. Such people do not want to return their wealth to its actual owner. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhokta Aram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. The real proprietor of all wealth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the actual enjoyer. So-called earners of money are those who simply know tricks by which they can take away God's money under the guise of business and industry. After accumulating this money, they enjoy seeing it plundered by the sons and grandsons. This is the materialistic way of life. In materialistic life, one is encaged within the body and deluded by false egoism. Thus one thinks, I am this body, I am a human being, I am an American, I am an Indian. This bodily conception is due to false ego. Being deluded by false ego, one identifies himself with a certain family, nation, or community. In this way, one's attachment for the material world grows deeper and deeper. Thus, it becomes very difficult for the living entity to extricate himself from this entanglement. Such people are graphically described in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 16.13 to 15, in this way. Idam madhya maya labdham imam pratshe manoratam idam astidam api me bhavishyati punardhanam asho maya hata shatrur hanishye chaparannapi ishvaro aham bhogi siddho aham balavan sukhi athyo abhijanavan asmi ko anyosti satrasho maya yakshe tashyami motishya iti ajnana vimohitaha. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future, more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. In this way, people engage in various laborious activities, and their attachment for body, home, family, nation, and community becomes more and more deep-rooted.
Yeah, so these sons and grandsons, we know what they are, right? What are they? Plunderers. Yes, and the last verse also discussed what they are. Do we remember what they are? Yeah, from text 9 last week. What are these? The sons and grandsons. What are they also? Yes. Yes. So remember, this is a figurative description of our lives. So the sons and grandsons are also the actions and reaction, meaning that we produce a child. That's our own action, right? And the reaction that comes from having the child, right? And the whole dynasty that we produce. So sons and grandsons are actually the actions and reactions, pious and impious deeds that we do. So how this translates is given in this text 10. So Prabhupada is saying that it's okay to have wealth. It's not that it's fine to have wealth, but we should know who is the proprietor of the wealth, right? Just remember that Krishna wanted the Pandavas to have all the wealth of the world, right? He wanted to take away from the Kauravas and give to the Pandavas because they are going to use the wealth properly. Right? So here, this is a karmi who is completely attached to sense gratification. So-called earners of money are those who simply know tricks. They simply know tricks by which they can take away God's money under the guise of business and industry. Only Prabhupada can write like this, right? He's detecting. We've set the room so that you just come and sit. They're sufficient. Just come and sit. We already set up. Can you come here and don't move any chair, please? We've set the room, with certain distance. Yeah, just sit here. Can you pull forward the chair? I'm sorry. Just leave it. If anybody else comes, then there's a chair here. Yeah, so here Prabhupada is saying, so-called earners of money are those who simply know tricks by which they can take away God's money. That's what they are doing. Prabhupada speaking of the industrialists and the business people. So they are figuring ways and means by which they can remove money from people, right? And Prabhupada is saying that it's God's property. It's actually God's property. But they're only thinking how they can do it. I mean, it's very much, Prabhupada is very much up to date with what's going on in the world. So why are they doing this? In materialistic life, one is engaged within the body. Two things are happening. So the soul is engaged within the body, all right? And secondly, they're deluded. Engaged within the body, secondly, deluded by false egoism. Deluded by false egoism that, this is, I'm the proprietor, I'm the enjoyer, and I'm the owner of the body. And the body is me, basically. So, I'm a human being, I'm American, I'm Indian. This bodily conception is due to false ego. Then again, this false ego expands itself into family, nation, and community. So, thus it becomes very difficult for the living entity to extricate himself from his entanglement. You know, it's, let's again remember from the very beginning of this discussion, we have seen that when we fall in Maya, we can't come out by ourselves. It's just not possible to come out by ourselves. And so we need others to pull us out, And the Sangha, the Satsanga, Guru, the Acharyas, the Shastras, they are there to pull us out. We can't come out by ourselves. And so it's good to accept our defeat, Instead of thinking, no, I can do it. Accepting our defeat means that we surrender. Text 11. Ije chakratu bir ghore dikshita pashumarke devan pitrin bhutta patim nana kamo yatha bhavan. Shikala.
The great sage Narad continued, My dear king, Prachin Barhishat, like you, King Puranjana also became implicated in so many desires. Thus he worshipped demigods, forefathers, and social leaders with various sacrifices, which were all very ghastly because they were inspired by the desire to kill animals. Purport. In this verse, the great sage Narad discloses that the character of Puranjana was being described to give lessons to King Prachin Barhishat. Actually, the entire description was figuratively describing the activities of King Prachin Barhishat. In this verse, Narad frankly says, like you, Yatha Bhavan, which indicates that King Puranjana is none other than King Prachin Barhishat himself. Being a great Vaishnava, Narad Muni wanted to stop animal killing in sacrifices. He knew that if he tried to stop the king from performing sacrifices, the king would not hear him. Therefore, he is describing the life of Puranjana. But in this verse, he first discloses the intention, although not fully, by saying, like you. Generally, the karmis who are attached to increasing the descendants have to perform so many sacrifices and worship so many demigods for future generations, as well as to satisfy so many leaders, politicians, philosophers, and scientists to make things go on properly for future generations. The so-called mode of passion. No, sorry. The so-called
scientists.
Yeah. Scientists are very eager to see that future generations will live very comfortably. As such as they are trying to find different means of generating energy to drive locomotives, cars, airplanes, and so on. Now they are exhausting the petroleum supply. These activities are described in the Bhagavad Gita. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushakhahanatascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who are on the spiritual path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched.
Yes, so now just see. So remember that Narad Muni, he wanted to instruct King Prachina Barhishat, all right? So he knew that if you just go and just outright say, this is not correct, you should stop the animal killing. So he's not going to hear. So he came, he's like a teacher who had to come up with something, right, to attract the interest of the student, right? So he gave him a story, told him the story of King Puranjan, and then finally he said, just like you. Right? Just like you, right? This is what preachers do. They tell so many things, so many examples, and they say, like you. So he's an expert preacher. So here Prabhupada is saying like, I think we know very well, everybody's thinking, not only for me, but for my children and the coming generations, right? The entire world is thinking about the coming generation. And what about you? Where do you go? To hell or to heaven? Right? And it's always like, future generations. So that's what Prabhupada is saying here. Generally, the karmis who are attached to increasing descendants have to perform so many sacrifices and worship so many demigods for future generations. They say, okay, I suffered, I had to do so many things, but at least my children should not suffer, right? That's how they think. And we have seen in America what happened. We saw what happened in America, right? Within 200 years, the entire illusion was finished, right? They were immigrants from different places of Europe. And they went to America, pious people, they were Christian, I think mostly, Jewish and Christians, right? They went to America, they made a very nice life, and then what happened? Their children became hippies. These are the same, right? They didn't become happy and satisfied, thinking my parents are working very hard, accumulate money, build up a society, like a social status, right? So Prabhupada said the American society turned out to be a failure because their aim was exactly as described here, how to increase your sense gratification, your social status, your so-called education. You gave no values, no Vedic values, no that there is a future life. You need to know you have to come out from the cycle of birth and death. They only did exactly what King Puranjan is doing, enjoying material sense gratification. Within 200 years, it collapsed. Right? So, but that gave the opportunity to Prabhupada to preach. Right? This Prabhupada Lilamrita is giving us this whole history. And so Prabhupada was he was heartbroken when he saw this. And he wrote it here in this 4th canto. He said, children of great fathers, but by the laws of nature, they had to live a wretched life. I mean, you should read that Lilamrita. I'm actually teaching it to a group of students. So we saw, now they are teenage children, mostly were teenage, they ran away from home. And it's like a movement that started. So they say, just abandon, all this nonsense of the established American society of sense gratification. They say this is false. So renounce it, all right? Now, at least in India, you understand renunciation, meaning you have temples, you have some guidance, but there they have nothing. They don't even know what the next life. But they started to hear about Eastern religions, so they became attracted by, maybe there is something there. And then some people came to India. Anyway, this is one section of them. They met all those bogi yogis, and who are into drugs and every stuff and long hair, everything. They came back with this to America. They propagated this in America, and that's how the hippie came up with all these drugs. So they didn't come to the right place, and that's why again Prabhupada said he has made this temple. Everywhere, especially, he says Bombay is a gateway to India, right? So he made this temple. He said when Westerners are coming here, let them get real Krishna consciousness before they're caught by false yogis. So their counterpart, their Indian counterpart became the hippies there in America. And all different types of Mayavadi, they start going there just to capitalize on because they found an audience, right? And others who didn't have anything, what did they become? You read Prabhupada Lilamrita, you see what happened to them. So all of us here, see, we are becoming, I keep saying that this group here, all of us, we have become old together, right? So the future generation, here they're thinking future generation should leave behind money, but Prabhupada here is saying that actually future generation we have to leave behind the Vedic values, the Vedic knowledge, right? That their life don't become more and more miserable. We can't just complain about the youth today. No, we can't just complain about it. We have to do something. Put proper knowledge in them. I mean, that's how, all these devotees here, the whole temple, they're preaching. That's what they are doing. Everybody here, everybody just preaching whatever way they can. Yeah, so what are they doing? So now, the so-called scientists are very eager to see that future generation will live very comfortably, right? Who are the gurus of the world today is the scientists. Why? Because they are going to make sure that you live comfortably. And they are trying to find different means of generating energy to drive locomotives, cars, airplanes, and so on. And other things, more things they do. They do more things. So maybe we should go on reading and then we'll find out what more they do, the scientists. Yeah, so Prabhupada is saying here that these Bahushakhahi Anantascha Buddhayo Vyavasayinam. O beloved son of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute of many branch. Meaning they keep on using the intelligence. See, everybody's got intelligence, right? But they're using that intelligence just to find out how can I increase my comfort. Go on reading, we'll see how they want to increase it beside all the cars and the airplanes, right? When we die in motor accident, right? We die with air crash. Anywhere we die, increase the rate of death. And many people together, right? Yeah.
Actually, those who are in knowledge of everything are determined to execute Krishna consciousness. But those who are rascals, mudha, sinners, duskritina, and the lowest of mankind, naradham, who are bereft of all intelligence, maya aparahata jnanaha.
No, Mayaya Paharita Jnana.
Mayaya Paharata Jnanaha. And who take shelter of the demoniac way of life, Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha, are disinterested in Krishna consciousness. As such, they become implicated and take on so many activities. Most of these activities center around the killing of animals. Modern civilization is centered around animal killing. Karmis are advertising that without eating meat, their vitamin value or vitality will be reduced. So, to keep oneself fit to work hard, one must eat meat, and to digest meat, one must drink liquor, and to keep the balance of drinking wine and eating meat, one must have sufficient sexual intercourse to keep fit to work very hard like an ass.
So now you know why, in all those modern offices, you understand what they are doing now, right? Why they're engaging in all these illicit activities so that they can get energy, passion. Because this is the mode of Rajogun. Then they work hard.
These are two ways of animal killing. One way is in the name of religious sacrifices. All the religions of the world, except the Buddhists, have a program for killing animals in places of worship. According to Vedic civilization, the animal eaters are recommended to sacrifice a goat in the temple of Kali under certain restrictive rules and regulations and eat the flesh. Similarly, they are recommended to drink wine by worshipping the goddess Chandika. The purpose is restriction. People have given up all these restrictions. Now they are regularly opening wine distilleries and slaughterhouses and indulging in drinking alcohol and eating flesh. A Vaishnava Acharya like Narad Muni knows very well that persons engaged in such animal killing in the name of religion are certainly becoming involved in the cycle of birth and death, forgetting the real aim of life, to go home back to Godhead. Thus, the great sage Narada, while instructing Srimad Bhagavatam to Vyas Muni, condemned the karma kand, fruitive activities mentioned in the Vedas. Narada told Vyasa,
okay, let's read it together. Jugupshitam dharma kriten ushashatah svabhava raktasya mahan vyatikramaha yad vyakyato dharma iti tarasthito na manyate tasya nivaranam janaha.
the people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions.
So here it is. So Srila Vyasadeva, he wrote so many books and Karma Kanda. But Narad Muni say, you allow them, you give them little bit of allowance, right? We can do this, and then what? They will break all rules eventually. They will just disregard all prohibition. So, because this is the religious way. We saw how King Puranjana, how he was producing children, okay, good children, right, Garbhadan Samskar, everything. Then Prabhupada said, but then he went beyond the limits, right? So under the name of religion, we are still doing good things, but we end up overdoing, right? And that had some negative effect. So very risky. I think somewhere Prabhupada writes, even on the royal road there is danger. So if we take advantage of the rules and regulations, to engage in sense gratification, then that also will create some disturbance. We don't reach the goal, that's the point. It's okay, we are still dharmic. Fine, but we don't reach the goal. And if we don't reach the goal, mean again the cycle of birth and death.
Srila Narad Muni chastised Vyasadeva for compiling so many Vedic supplementary scriptures, which are all intended for guiding the people in general. Narad Muni condemned these scriptures because they do not mention direct devotional service. Under Narada's instructions, direct worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, was set forth by Vyasadeva. The conclusion is that neither the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu nor his devotee ever sanctions animal killing in the name of religion. Indeed, Krishna incarnated himself as Lord Buddha to put an end to animal killing in the name of religion. Animal sacrifice under the name of religion is conducted by the influence of Tamoguna, the mode of ignorance, as indicated in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 18.31 to 33. Yaya dharma adharmam cha karyam eva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi adharma dharmam iti ya manyate tamasa bhuta sarvarthan viparitanscha buddhi sa partha tamasi. That understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious between action that should be done and action that should not be done. That imperfect understanding, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of passion. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction. O Partha is in the mode of ignorance.
So this is religion in the mode of ignorance. Yaya dharma adharma cha. We don't know what is religion. That understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious, between action that should be done and action that should not be done. That imperfect understanding, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of passion. And Prabhupada is going to give the example here. So, meaning that religion is allowing animal killing, but how? In what condition? In what circumstances? So Prabhupada said all the religions of the world except the Buddhist have a program for killing animals in places of worship. According to Vedic civilization, the animal eaters are recommended to sacrifice a goat in the temple of Kali under certain restrictive rules and regulations and eat the flesh. Similarly, they are recommended to drink wine by worshipping the goddess Chandika. The purpose is restrictions, right? That's the purpose. And now what's happening here? So, animal sacrifice under the name of religion is conducted by the influence of Tamogun. So go on.
Those who are involved in the mode of ignorance manufacture religious systems for killing animals. Actually, dharma is transcendental. As Lord Sri Krishna teaches, we must give up all other systems of religion and simply surrender unto Him. Sarva dharman parityajya. Thus, the Lord and His devotees and representatives teach the transcendental dharma, which does not allow animal killing at all. At the present moment, it is the greatest misfortune that in India many so-called missionary workers are spreading irreligion in the name of religion. They claim an ordinary human being to be God and recommend meat eating for everyone, including so-called sannyasis.
You know that. No, I was very surprised even in Mauritius. We couldn't figure out, because we know that sadhus are vegetarian, and here we found that these sannyasis, they eat, I don't know what they eat. So we're getting all confused. Then Prabhupada came, brought the real understanding. I don't know what happened to them, but at least by now everybody knows sannyasis. Brahman don't eat meat, right? Text 12. Yukteshvaivam pratamatasya kutumba sakta chetasaha asasada savekalo yo priya priya yoshitam.
Hare Krishna. Thus in Puranjans, being attached to fruitive activities, karma kandya, as well as filth and king, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrive at that point, not very much lacked by those who are overly attached to material things. In this verse, the words priya yastun and apriya are very significant. The word yoshit means women and priya means dear or pleasing. That is not very much welcome for those who are too much attached to material enjoyment, which culminates in sex. There is an instructive story in this connection. Once when a saintly person was passing on his way, he met a prince, the son of king, and he blessed him, saying, "My dear prince, you may live forever." The sage next met a saintly person and said to him, "You may either live or die." Eventually, the sage met a brahmachari devotee, and he blessed him, saying, "My dear devotee, you may die immediately." Finally, the sage met a hunter, and he blessed him, saying, "Neither live nor die." The point is that those who are very sensual, and are engaged in sense gratification do not wish to die. Generally, a prince has enough money to enjoy his senses. Therefore, the great sage said that he should live forever. For as long as he lived, he could enjoy life. But after his death, he would go to hell. Since the brahmachari devotee was leading a life of severe austerities and penances, in order to be promoted back to Godhead, the sage said that he should die immediately so that he need not continue to labor hard and could instead go back home, back to Godhead. A saintly person may either live or die, for during his life he is engaged in serving the Lord, and after his death he also serves the Lord. Thus, this life and the next are the same for a saintly devotee. For in both he serves the Lord. Since the hunter lives a very ghastly life due to killing animals, and since he will go to hell, when he dies, his advice neither live nor die. King Puranjans finally arrived at the point of old age. In old age, the senses lose their strength, and although an old man derives to enjoy his senses, and especially sex life, he is very miserable because his instruments of enjoyment no longer function. Such sensualists are never prepared for death. They simply want to live on and on, extend their life by so-called scientific advancement. Some foolish Russian scientists also claim that they are going to make an immortal through scientific advancement. Under the leadership of such crazy fellows, civilization is going on. Cruel death, however, comes and takes all of them away, despite their desire to live forever. This type of mentality was exhibited by Hiranyakashipu, but when the time was right, the Lord personally killed him within a second. Hare Krishna.
Text 13. Chandavega iti kyato Gandharvadhipatirnipa Gandhavastasya balina Shastyuttara Shatatrayam.
Hare Krishna.
O king, in Gandharva Loka there is king named Chandavega. Under him there are 360 very powerful Gandharva soldiers. Purport. Time is figuratively described here as Chandavega. Since time and tide wait for no man, time is here called Chandavega, which means very swiftly pass away. As time passes, it is calculated in terms of years. 1 year certain 360 days, and the soldiers of Chandavega here mentioned represent these days. Time passes swiftly. Chandavega's powerful soldiers of Gandharva Loka very swiftly carry away all the days of our life. As the sun rises and sets, it snatches away the balance of our lifespan. Thus, as easy day passes, each one of us lose some of life's duration. It is therefore said that a duration of one's life cannot be saved. But if one engage in devotional service, his time cannot be taken away by the sun. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.17, Ayura Harati Ve Kumisam Udhyana Astamam Chaya Yana Asau. The conclusion is that if one wants to make himself immortal, he should give up sense gratification by engaging oneself in devotional service. One can gradually enter into the eternal kingdom of God. Marriages and other illusionary living things are sometimes called Gandharvas. Our losing our lifespan is taken as advancement of age. This imperceptible passing away of these days of life is figuratively referred into the verse as Gandharvas. As explained in the later verses, such Gandharvas are both male and female. This indicates that both men and women lose their lifespan imperceptibly by the force of time, which is herein described as Chandavega.
Okay, now this section is about time, the effect of time. So very interesting. So this is again a figurative description of our own life. interesting that we cannot save our duration of life, right? So that you have a saving account, okay, you're going to save your life. Right? That's what we do with insurances, right? Right? We measure our lifespan, health, etc., insurance. The truth that you can't save anything. And everybody knows this. However much you may pay insurance, finally you lose. Right? Because there are always terms and conditions. Therefore, they make sure you lose. But if one is engaged in devotional service, his time cannot be taken away by the sun. Ayur harati vai pumsam. Udyan ashtam chayan aso. Both by rising and by setting, the sun diminishes the lifespan of everyone. Not only human beings, but the entire planet. Right? So, the conclusion is that if one wants to make himself immortal, what should he do? What should he do? Yes. Yes, he must give up sense gratification. By engaging oneself in devotional service, one can gradually, meaning that it's not going to happen overnight, one can gradually enter into the eternal kingdom of God. Now comes the next part. So this Chanda Vega, now comes another meaning of this Gandharva. This so can you get this switch off? AC. Mirages and other illusory things are sometimes called Gandharva. Like we think, like this gambling. In gambling we think, yeah, I'm winning. So we believe that we are winning, but actually we don't win. We lose. Our losing our lifespan is taken as advancement of age. All right, we are losing our lifespan. So, you're 60, you're still young. Right? People today speak like that. You're only 60, you're still young. Meaning we have already lost. Right? This is the advancement of our age. We've lost 60, meaning there's only 5 years, 10 years, 20 years left. Right? So we can't be under that illusion. So this is what is Gandharva, this modern age, I don't know from where they pick this, the youth, the 60-year-old youth. Right? We already read that by the time you're 50, you're already losing your bodily strength. This imperceptible passing away of the days of life it's imperceptible. You don't realize, that time is ticking, and only I guess after we were all in the lockdown, when we came out in the open, then we really saw also everybody suddenly looking older than when I knew them 2 years back. Yeah, true. Because I think everybody gave up all, makeup. I don't know. I don't know. It was shocking, So what happened? 2 years made everybody look different. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, that's what you're telling me now. Huh? Everybody just relax. Who's going to see me except my own family members, right? They gave up all makeup, huh? It was amazing. I say, how is it that 1.5 years, because there was an opening, they looked different already. Then second one, it was like everything is over. Oh, okay. This imperceptible passing away of the days of life is figuratively referred to in this verse as Gandharvas. As explained in later verses, such Gandharvas are both male and female, meaning that both men and women lose their lifespan imperceptibly by the force of time. And we read in the previous text here about this material enjoyment, about how this saintly person was once, when a saintly person was passing on his way, he met a prince, the son of a king, and he blessed him. My dear prince, may you live forever. Why? Because you are enjoying now. If you die, you will go to hell. So better go on enjoying. Then he met a saintly person, and he said, you may either live or die. It doesn't matter. Because when you are living, you are engaged in devotional service, and when you die also, you will engage in devotional service. There is no difference. Then he met a brahmachari. So when he met the brahmachari, he said, you die now. Because you are doing so much austerity, it's better you die now. Because you will get the result of all that you have done immediately, and you will go back home, back to Godhead. So you die now. That was his blessing. And the hunter, he said, neither live nor die, because your life is hellish now. You go also, it's going to be hellish. Text 14. Gandharvyastadrishirasya Maitunascha shita shitaha Parivritya panti sarvakama vinirmitam.
Hare Krishna, translation. Along with Chandravega were as many female Gandharvas as there were soldiers, and all of them repetitively plundered all the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. Perfect. The days have been compared to the soldiers of Chandravega. Night is generally a time for sex enjoyment. Days are considered to be white and nights are considered to be black. Or, from another point of view, there are two kinds of nights, black nights and white nights. All these days, nights combine to pass away our span of life, and everything we manufacture for sense gratification. Material activities means manufacturing things for sense gratification. Scientists are conducting research to find out how we can satisfy our senses more and more elaborately. In this Kali-yuga, the demonic mentality is employed in manufacturing various machines to facilitate the process of sense gratification. There are so many machines for ordinary household activities. There are machines for washing dishes, cleansing the floor, shaving, clipping hair. Today, everything is done by machine. All these facilities for sense gratification are described in this verse as Sarva Kama Vinirmitam. The time factor, however, is so strong that not only is our span of life being expanded, but all the machines and facilities for sense gratification are deteriorating. Therefore, in this verse, the word Vilampanti, plundering, is used. Everything is being plundered from the very beginning of our lives. This plundering of our possessions and lifespan begins with the day of our birth. One day will come when death will finish everything, and the living entity will have to enter another body to begin with another chapter of life, and again begin the cycle of material sense gratification. Prahlad Maharaj describes this process as Puna Punas Charita Charavanam. Materialistic life means chewing the chewed again and again. The central point of material life is sense gratification. In different types of bodies, the living entity enjoys various senses, and through creating various types of facilities. He chews the chewed. Whether we squeeze sugar out of the sugarcane with our teeth or machine, the result is the same, sugarcane juice. We may discover many ways to squeeze the juice out of the sugarcane, but the result is the same.
You know, it's like we read about this Gandharva, this illusion, So Prabhupada is referring to all these, washing machine, dishwashing, cleaning. I mean, it's ridiculous, sorry, What's the big deal about, just getting on your knees and taking a cloth and washing, the floor? Now you have this big machine, you have electricity, right? It's amazing. I see it even here happening. I remember this girl, I wanted to give her some service. And she said, no, I have to work this. I said, why? Why do you have to work so much? She says, yes, Mataji, I have to buy a washing machine. And I was shocked. I said, you have to go to work to earn to buy a washing machine? I said, how many hours you have to work? How much you have to earn to buy a washing machine? Right? I mean, because maybe they come, from like lesser, like economic range. So like the propaganda, remember the business people, how they try all tricks to get money out of people. So they advertise and put it in the brain, right, of the people that you need a washing machine. So this poor girl is going out to work, an educated, very well educated girl, but obviously no brain, right? I asked her, in half an hour you can wash your clothes. Right? But you have to go and slog for 10, 12 hours so that somebody will give you money, and then you will go and buy a washing machine, right? And what Prabhupada says, what happened to the machines? Yeah, now you know, right? What happened to the machines?
No sense gratification.
No, everybody knows what, it gets spoiled, yeah, everybody knows. You buy a washing machine, right? And after a few years, maybe in 1 year, 2 years itself, something, defective, right? And you don't know what to do with your washing, big stuff. You know how to dispose of it. Then you have to buy another one. Right? Yeah. Right. So this is what Prabhupada is talking about. This is the plundering of our possessions. Because we got illusion, we're so much into sense gratification that we lose this basic understanding that your body itself. So we all become sick. We don't do any physical work, right? I keep saying this, wasn't well, so I called this yoga teacher. She was showing, in the beginning I just refused to do what she was telling me, because it was just stretches. I said, what are you doing, this yoga, what? Then finally, she told me, lifestyle yoga. I said, what's lifestyle yoga? You do jharu pocha, this is lifestyle yoga? You right? They call one chakli asan. You know that one? I said, what's that? He said, all the housewives were doing chakli. So now they artificially they make you do it, this movement. And then I said, what's this? You're lifting the buckets. Oh, yeah. And she called it lifestyle yoga. I said, sorry, I'm not going to do all this. Better I do my own jhari puja, do my own laundry, because when you do, then you ring. When you cook, all of you, if you want any secret to good health, you must cook. When you're kneading, you're using all your, everything. No, you go in gym, right? Yeah. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. All these facilities for sense gratification are described in this verse as sarvakam vinirmitam. The time factor, however, is so strong. Like I think we all know this. The time factor, however, kala, is so strong that not only is our life, our span of life being spended, but all the machines and facilities for sense gratification are deteriorating. So understand that our life is being spent. We can't save it. It's something that we can't save. Like you think your money you can save. You cannot save your lifespan. Right? So therefore, what are we doing with our life is what counts day by day, moment by moment. What am I doing with my life? Don't squander away this great wealth. And if it's squandered away, what happens? According to what we read, like we've been reading so far, yeah. What happens?
We'll have to enter another body.
Yes. Yeah, because actually we don't die. It's just that we got stuck in a machine that deteriorates, because the body also is a machine. It deteriorates. And you have to discard it just like you discard all your other machines, right? So you have to accept another machine. And again you do the same thing without any attempt to come out. Text 15. Te chanda veganu charaha puranjana puram yada hartum arebhire tatra pratyashedhat prajagaraha.
Translation. When King Gandharva Raja Chandavega and his followers began to plunder the city of Puranjana, a snake with 5 hoods began to defend the city. Purport. When one is sleeping, the life air remains active in different dreams. The 5 hoods of the snake indicate that the life air is surrounded by 5 kinds of air known as Pran, Apan, Vayan, Udan and Saman. When the body is inactive, the prana or the life air is active. Up to the age of 50, one can actively work for sense gratification, but after the 50th year, one's energy decreases. Although one can, with great strain, work for 2 or 3 more years, perhaps up to the 55th year. Thus, the 55th year is generally taken by government regulation as the final year for retirement. The energy which is fatigued after 50 years is figuratively described here as a serpent with 5 hoods.
Okay, so now this is the pran, right? The pran is becoming weak as we go older. So Prabhupada gave the time. This is after 50 years old. Perhaps up to 55, the pran is able, the energy. We can work. Thus, the 55th year is generally taken by government regulations as the final year for retirement. Now they make it 60, now they make it 65. Because they found that, people are still becoming consultants or taking, so many things they are doing. Say, okay, let me capitalize on this. So they use that, actually this is meant for your spiritual development. This is vanaprasth. But because we are not using it properly, therefore, the thinking, they are the brain, so we pay them less. I don't know what they do. So let us use their experience to again increase my sense gratification. Right? Text 16. Sa saptabhishatere ko vimshatya cha satam samaha Puranjana Puradyaksho Gandharve Yuyudhe Bali.
Translation by Divine Worship Prabhupada. The 5-hooded serpent, the superintendent and the protector of the city of King Puranjana, fought with Gandharvas for 100 years.
He fought alone with all of them, although they numbered 720. Proper, the 360 days and 360 nights combined to become those 72 soldiers of Chandraveda time. One has to fight these soldiers throughout one lifespan, beginning with birth and ending with death. This fight is called a struggle for existence. Despite the struggle, however, the living entity does not die. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.20, the living entity is eternal. Najiyate mrityeva karnate nayam bhutva bhavite vamahuro ajo nityo shashvato yam purana na hamyate anya mane sharite. For the soul, there is never birth nor death. Not having once been, does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, undying, and immovable. He is not slain when the body is slain. Actually, the living entity does not take birth, nor does he die, but he has to fight with the stringent laws of material nature throughout the entire span of his lifetime. He must also face different kinds of miserable conditions. Despite all this, the living entities, due to illusion, think that he is well situated in sense gratification.
So here we are, the soul. The soul is eternal, doesn't die, but he's placed himself in a material machine, in material situation, and he has to fight against this. At every moment, as soon as he takes his birth, meaning the body takes birth, immediately he has to fight for air, and he has to breathe, then he's running for food, right? The mother has to feed the child, and these days mothers are also not very responsible. We don't know even they feed the child, right? So at every moment he's fighting to remain within a body that's temporary. Right? This is what Prabhupada is explaining here. The struggle for existence. So as soon as he enters this situation, immediately, and how we become distressed when somebody leaves the body, right? Everybody knows this, how much distress it is. So actually the living entity doesn't take birth, nor does he die, but he has to fight with the stringent laws of material nature throughout the entire span of his life. Right? So he has to go, he has to earn, he needs to have honor, he has to eat, he has to maintain the house, he has to, now when he produces others who like him, he's got a material body, so he produces other beings, parinam we call it, right? Of his like him, so then he has to feed those bodies, right? When actually he has nothing to do with all this. So not only is he fighting against the laws of material nature for himself, but he starts to fight for others also. And this is all an illusion. He's thinking he's very happy. He's thinking very happy. Despite all this, the living entity, due to illusion, think that he's well situated in sense gratification. Text 17. Kshiyamane swasambandhe ekasmin bahubhiryudha chintam param jagamartaha sarashtra pura bandhavaha. Is it on?
Translation. Because he had to fight alone with so many soldiers, all of whom were great warriors, the serpent with 5 hoods became very weak. Seeing that his most intimate friend was weakening, King Puranjana and his friends and citizens living within the city all became very anxious. Perfect. The living entity resides within the body and struggles for existence with the limbs of the body, which are referred to here as citizens and friends. One can struggle alone with many soldiers for some time, but not for all time. The living entity within the body can struggle up to the limit of 100 years with good luck, but after that it is not possible to prolong the struggle. Thus the living entity submits and falls victim. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung Vriddha Kala Aula Sabha Sukha Bhagala. When one becomes old, it becomes impossible to enjoy material happiness. Generally, people think that religion and piety come at the end of life, and at this time one generally becomes meditative and takes to some so-called yogic process to relax in the name of meditation. Meditation, however, is simply a farce for those who have enjoyed life in sense gratification. As described in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, meditation, jnana, ahara,
Dharana.
is a difficult subject matter that one has to learn from his very youth. To meditate, one must restrain himself from all kinds of sense gratification. Unfortunately, meditation has now become a passion for those who are overly addicted to sensual things. Such meditation is defeated by the struggle for existence. Sometimes such meditative process pass for transcendental meditation. King Puranjana, the living entity, being thus victimized by the hard struggle for existence, took to transcendental meditation with his friends and relatives.
Meaning he's been defeated, right? He's been defeated by time. So it's horrible. Meaning that we can't do anything about it. We really can't do anything about it. We may just fall prey. I mean, we'll be defeated by time. So, because he had to fight alone with so many soldiers, meaning the laws of nature, all of whom were great warriors, meaning time, the daytime. We all, look up at the muhurta, right? Every 48 minutes, I think there is one muhurta, right? Every 2 hours, like it keeps changing, right? And so then there's the evening, the night, right? And we are just, these are the warriors. These 720 warriors. And the prana has to fight against these every day. I hope all of you are preaching here. I hope all of you are sitting. This is a very good section, right? You need to sit with our relatives and read this. This entire section. They may not be interested in other things. At least let them hear this truth. So finally, thus the living entity submits and falls victim. He has to give in. He has no choice. So who are those friends and relatives? The citizens and
Limbs of the body.
you are the limbs. All right. Saying that his most intimate friend, who was the intimate friend? Who is the intimate friend of the living entity? The prana. Right? The pran. There's nothing more dear than pran. If somebody is drowning, right? How many of us would want to go and save? Right? We think of our own pran first. We may cry, we may feel, but we are not going to go and save. Because our prana is very, very dear to us. Most intimate friend. Okay, so I think we should stop now. So this is quite a morbid section. Right? I mean, the reality of this world is horrible. We are facing it. We are facing it, but we don't like to hear it being told to us so crudely. So, any reflections on this?
After all this instruction, then also
Prachanya Varishat.
Did he follow?
I'm not sure he followed. I'm not sure. He heard, I think. I'm not sure whether he followed, I can't remember. You know, we are very hard nuts to crack, you know, and the soul is so much in. I mean, that's our practical experience, right? How many years we are listening to Bhagavatam, still do we follow? Right? So many years we are listening Bhagavatam. Do we follow? We don't follow. But something is going in, right? So it accumulates. And next birth. That's why it takes many births. Whoever catches it can go very fast. Doesn't matter how old you are. You know? Whoever catches and finishes off, there's everything that's to be done. You know, he can go, but who doesn't catch, then you have to take another round, you know, in this material world. Anyway, so this is our situation. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so we can end here. Chakalikatarugascha kripasindhuyaivacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Because I'm jammed up here.
We can only pray Narad and Prabhupada bless us.
What's that blessing, you know? Your blessing is the instructions. Right? So we must follow the instructions. We must believe, accept, and put into practice. But we are stubborn. We are terribly stubborn in our desire for sense gratification. Or we are just not very intelligent. Because at the end of the day, only those who are very intelligent who can get liberated, isn't it? Again and again this is coming. So that's why it's very rare. Bhakti, one of the characteristics of bhakti is sudurlabha. Very rare. But we heard in one of the talk of Prabhupada said gradually, right? Whatever we are able to do, but gradually, at least we don't go down in our species. That's at least one thing. So we hear, we accumulate, then we go higher and higher. Because this ahankar, it's very subtle, extremely hard to penetrate, to give up the ahankar. Extremely hard. So unless and until we give up that layer covering the self, we are not going to follow, right? Whenever I hear that, I became very happy. Bhagavatam, but finally when we started reading, we found how that it's so miserable, right? Everything, it's only a series of misery, misery, misery. And again we start seeing how the material world is miserable. So sometimes it's good to read about Krishna Lila, right? Krishna in real life. Even Ramachandra didn't teach us the real life, right? He taught us what is material life, the sufferings of material life. But Krishna, Krishna's Leela, just notice how Krishna in Vrindavan, there's no envy among the Brajvasis, right? There's absolutely no envy, there's only love. But as soon as Krishna stepped out of Vrindavan, there's so much politics, right? He went to Mathura, Dwarka, right? So much politics. And what was coming in Vrindavan were outsiders, right? They were all coming to disturb Krishna's Leela. So if you want to know what is the spiritual world, then a good place to study is Krishna in Braj. There is no Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moha, Matsya, in Braj. So real Krishna is in Vrindavan.